I don't like nicknames like princess or baby or sweetie or honey. Like, don't call me those things. It does not appeal to me. Like a lot of people who are chronically online, I can tend to find myself doom scrolling and making my way to corners of the internet that I wouldn't typically find myself. And recently, that's been princess treatment TikTok, and I've got things to say. So welcome to kind of like a hybrid. It's like a Molly Rambles meets a reaction video. This is going to be kind of similar to this one I recently did, reacting to the trend on TikTok where parents have their kids fake blind, or this one that I did around Steve-O's poor joke about service dogs and faking them. So I don't know, it's like kind of a middle ground of Molly Rambles and reaction. And I am so excited to get into this. First off, I just want to say, this video is not intended to be judgmental towards people who choose to live their life in a different way than I do. That's what makes the world go round. We're not all the same person. It's what keeps life interesting. This is more me wanting to share my commentary, my thoughts around this, and how my disability has impacted the way I view princess treatment and why I desperately don't want it. Okay, if you've not seen this trend, before I really dive into it, I'll just show some examples right here.
Princess treatment isn't anything else. Princess treatment is showing us actions that we could tell you are thinking about us. So for example, think from our perspective and how you can ease in our lives a little bit. It's literally just as simple as when we're walking and we're wearing cold, short dress and heels. Don't you think we're gonna be a little cold when you're wearing 2 jackets and jeans? So think about it. Would she be cold? Should I offer one of my jackets? Would she like water? How should like this experience better? Like maybe you can tie our shoes when we're wearing a skirt because skirts show down there and we don't want to be uncomfortable. So it's just being considerate and thinking from girls' perspective. That's literally princess treatment, not anything else.
Never open a door for yourself. When you're going into a restaurant, don't open the door. Coming out of a restaurant, don't open a door. Stand there. Wait till he comes. Let him open it. I will not order my own food at a restaurant. I tell him what I want, and then he can tell the waiter what I want to eat. I do not pay for anything. Like, I don't even attempt to get out my wallet. I do not bother with even asking. I just will let him do it. I let him tap.
When you get into your feminine energy, you're really going to notice something. You're going to see how magnetic you become to masculine men. Masculine men want to provide for women, look after women, help women, protect women. I mean, the healed masculine men that do all these things. Everything is energy, and being in your feminine is so important for attracting these type of men. I noticed such a big difference when I got into mine. Men just wanted to like serve me, provide for me, do things for me without me even asking.
So basically, it's women just discussing what their standards are for their partner. And from my perception, a lot of it does tend to fall into traditional gender norms, which is never something that I've personally subscribed to. You'll often hear them talking about like wanting to be in their soft, feminine girl era, also something that's never appealed to me. I confidently have a lot of masculine energy and a lot of feminine energy, and I love having equal parts. So I don't need to be all in my feminine energy, feminine era where a man is taking care of me. A traditional gender role relationship has never appealed to me, and I think a lot of this like princess treatment crosses over at times into like trad wife, which as somebody who cannot cook for anything and doesn't want kids, doesn't really appeal to me. I'm definitely not going to be the trad wife, which is great. I don't want a man who wants that. So works well for me. But I think that being disabled, especially with a disability as significant as mine that truly does impact every single thing I do every single day, my disability doesn't just impact the physical ways in which I live. It also completely changes the beliefs that I hold, the way that I view the world. And I think a lot of the reasons I don't enjoy the idea of princess treatment actually does come down to my disability. And I don't know if anybody else can relate, which is why I wanted to share this, because I know I have a big community of disabled girlies on here. So I'm very curious to hear you weigh in on in the comment section. But for me, the reality is that yes, I do need more help with things than the average 31-year-old woman does. And so anything that I can do myself, I want to do myself. I think that sometimes when you're disabled, not only do you actually need more help with things, but the general society assumes you need help with everything, even things that you definitely don't need help with. So not only is it hard that you do have to rely on non-disabled people or just people in your life to help you with certain things every single day, but then the other side of, or technology, like needing to rely on technology, like a volunteer to open my eyes, or an app to tell me what I'm looking at. Like I'm constantly having to use tools and people to live my life. But then also I leave the comfort and safety of my home and I'm in society and people constantly jump in to do things for me or assume I need help or assume I can't do something, so don't even ask me. And it's really frustrating spending your whole life fighting for the most autonomy and most independence you can possibly have. So there's no world in which I then want to hand that to a man in my life to do it for me when it's something that I am perfectly capable of doing. When I can inherently do less, I want to do more. I want to do the most that is within my capabilities. And it was really hard learning to accept that I needed more help than everybody else. And so I really try to lean into my strengths. And it's what allows me to feel valuable in a world that often devalues disabled people. I do often find myself putting a lot of my own self-worth and value in being productive, in doing things. And that's a whole other issue. That is my own internalized trauma, my own internalized ableism, that I feel the need to be productive to feel value in myself. But it just is what it is. It's a way in which my disability has emotionally and mentally impacted me. And when you go to a restaurant and most of your life, the person you're with is asked, what does she want? Instead of the waiter asking, what do you want? When I hear these women being like, I want my man to order for me, I'm like, girl, what? Because couldn't be me. I'm so irritated when people assume that I can't order for myself and automatically ask my partner, automatically ask my parents, automatically ask my friend, instead of asking me and essentially ignore that I'm there. And that is one of those micro acts of ableism that is so pervasive and so many of us in this community face. And it's really funny because I found myself in the last kind of number of years of my life, in my adulthood where I'm very confident in myself, I find myself, the moment a waiter walks up to the table, if we've all at the table agreed that we're going to get the hummus to share and a bottle of rosé to start, the moment the waiter comes in and is like, are we ready to order? I'm like, yes, we'll take the bottle of rosé and the hummus. I will actually be the one to step in to my masculine energy and take control of the situation and order. Because it's my little act of rebellion. It is my little way to take back my power and to subtly indicate to that waiter that I am confident and capable, you can speak to me. And hopefully it's a subtle message that they take with them the next time they walk up to a table where somebody's disabled. Seeing women say oh, princess treatment, I want my man to always drive me everywhere. Driving is a privilege I wish I had. There is nothing worse than feeling like I must rely on other people to drive me places and having no freedom. And I cannot imagine having the privilege to be able to drive and then never wanting to use it. To just be I'll just let my mans do it. Couldn't be me. I just so wish I could drive myself places and have the freedom of getting in my car and not having to be hi boyfriend, would you mind driving me to my nail appointment? Or ordering an Uber, spending extra money to go spend more money on my nails. I couldn't imagine. The idea of being able to drive for myself, I feel if I ever had that, I would never want to let anybody, it would be the ordering thing. I'd be everybody get in my car. I'm driving. And I understand, again, this isn't meant to be a judgment on other people and their life choices. I understand, some people have a fear of driving or have had trauma around driving and they'd rather somebody else drive. I get it. That's you. I'm just saying, this is why I don't want princess treatment and why I lean into doing everything that I can possibly do. And I think oftentimes there's a fear in the disability community with relationships of losing control to your partner and the caretaking role veering into control. Being so reliant on somebody and giving them that control over you is scary and can set you up to be placed in really dangerous situations, and not just in caretaking roles, but like financially. That's another way in which I never wanted that traditional gender role. From the age of 15, when I worked so hard to get my first job, I paid for everything that was a non-necessity. And I took such pride in that. And as soon as I turned 18 and got my first full-time job, like I started paying for everything, whether it was a necessity or not. Like I paid for everything from 18 onwards. And I always took so much pride in buying my own things, in paying for my own stuff. And I did because it was a privilege in my community, and I knew that. Like growing up, knowing the unemployment rates of blind people, knowing the unemployment rates of disabled people, I was terrified because I've always been an A-type personality, which is something I get from my father and I constantly am trying to work on. I am very hard on myself. I can be a perfectionist, not about other people, but about myself. I'm just very hard on myself. And it's something I'm constantly trying to be aware of and to combat. But a lot of that comes from, again, genetically my father, thanks Dad, but equally society's low expectation of me. Constantly feeling like I have to work 10 times harder to prove I'm maybe half as worth it. And growing up knowing the stats I had going against me with things like work. Once I had work, I took so much pride in having that job, so much pride in having my own financial freedom. And I've gone back and forth through my early life of being on government assistance and not, when I was like in between jobs and stuff like that and really struggling. I've had many periods of my life where I've struggled financially, and I have had to get more help from my family. And that was really difficult for me. And I really don't believe that anybody in this community would choose to be on disability assistance or would choose to financially rely on people if they didn't have to, because it does hand even more of the control to somebody else. When we lack control over sometimes our own body, like my own body doesn't do the things that everybody else's does. My own body, I don't have control over seeing and doing what I want to do. And so I want to do everything I can. And I take so much pride in financially supporting myself and understanding that that is such a huge privilege that I would never want to then be like, okay, husband, okay, partner, you cover the bills. I love splitting the bill. Like, I think that's a moment of power. And I do feel like sometimes princess treatment veers into going back in time for women's rights and like women taking their power back. And that's just not something that I personally want to feed into. But I'm also not somebody who wants a lot of like traditional things. I mean, I very much don't want the traditional home. Like I want like bright colors everywhere. I don't want like this muted colors. I have a very quirky style. I don't want a traditional job. Like a 9-to-5 would be very difficult on me. I'm a really free-spirited person. I don't want a big princess wedding. That sounds awful to me. Like I just want, when I do get married, I just want something small and intimate and personal. I don't need that big moment. It's just not for me. So I think in a lot of ways, I'm a true Aquarius, energy. I'm just, even with relationships, like I value feeling seen, heard, and understood so much more than I value something like romance. I don't like nicknames like princess or baby or sweetie or honey. Like don't call me those things. It does not appeal to me. I want a relationship where I feel like an equal and I am viewed and treated like an equal. And for me, while some women might feel like princess treatment makes them feel valued, for me, it makes me feel less valuable and less valued. So I think it's all about finding a relationship that serves what you want, that works for you, and that makes you feel valued in a way that is good for you. But that's just not what it is for me. And I do think my disability is a lot of what has played into that. And my mom, she's also equally quirky, free spirit. So get my perfectionism from my dad and my quirky free spiritedness from my mom. I'm a true hybrid. And if I think about why nicknames like princess, honey, baby don't feel right for me, I think a lot of it also is to do with my disability, is to do with the fact that people infantilize you when you are disabled. People treat you like you're a child, like you are not an intelligent, strong adult woman. They treat you like you are a baby, like you are this sweet, innocent little angel child. And so it's this constant like fighting back on that assumption. You know, in high school, like I became a big party girl to fight back on this assumption that I was this innocent little creature. I would swear a lot. I still swear a lot in my day-to-day life, which is a part of being like, look, I'm an adult. Like I'm not this little sweet baby angel child. And for me, when I hear words like princess, sweetie, baby, honey, it feels like patronizing. That's how it comes off to me because of being infantilized my whole life. So yeah, I feel like it really is so interesting when you get to a point of seeing not just how your disability impacts your day-to-day physical life, but also how it impacts your emotional life, your views and beliefs on things, because disability truly does impact every single part of who I am. And I wouldn't have it any other way. I'm really proud of that. And I'm really proud to be a strong, confident, capable woman who can't do everything for myself, but will absolutely do everything within my ability for myself. So that's my stance on the princess treatment trend as a blind woman. And if you want another video like this, you can click here to watch the video I mentioned earlier about the faking blind trend on TikTok, or you can click over here for another Molly Rambles video I recently posted. Bye.